Welcome to the Journeyman Cave, a podcast where we meet and chat with some of boxing's most seasoned road warriors, hosted by Mark Shakespeare and Chris Scarfe.
Welcome back to the Journeyman Cave, everybody. We're here with Series 6, and with me, as always, Mr. Mark Shakespeare. How you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, Series 6, eh? Sun come around, buddy.
Where does the time go? Yeah, Series 6, less than 2 years, and we're back with a good one. What we got this week?
Yeah, we are, mate. We've got a little bit different again here this week. We've got Latif Mohammed, haven't we, today? A little bit different, like I said, but I know he's a fan of the show, and he likes to listen to our podcast, so I thought I'd give him a message, and when I asked him to come on the show, he jumped at the chance. He couldn't wait to get on. And I think, as you'll see in this episode, when you listen to it, there's some great stories he's got to tell us, hasn't he?
Oh, brilliant. Could listen to him for hours. And it seems he's got a link to Barnsley from his past. He used to work here at markets.
He did, and he knew Kendry and all, didn't he? I mean...
Kendry, Lundwood.
And you know, if you know Kendry and Lundwood, you're a proper time man, aren't you?
That's right, it is.
And also, he got me a little bit excited, didn't he, when he come in, mate? Because he also trains well and looks after a little bit with Craig Derbyshire and Jason Cunningham, who are proper warriors, and I'd love to get them on the show at some point, definitely.
Well, in that case, yeah, if you're listening, boys, please get in touch. We'd love to have you on.
Yeah, definitely. We're not far away. We're not scary people. You'll be fine, lads. Get your send down.
Not scary with this haircut. So, with no further ado, let's get straight into Series 6 with Latif Mohammed.
So, just getting into it, Latif, I mean, obviously we are for the away corner, as you know.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you a question first. Who's your favourite road warrior? It could be past or present.
Well, obviously I'm biased because my favourite road warrior is obviously Serge Ambomo, because obviously I worked with him for numerous years. Just that toughness, just straightforward, just did what he was paid for. So obviously I'm going to be biased. But the list can go on because obviously, you know, for me personally, I've got a massive respect for journeymen. Yeah, I think they've got that toughness which you've either got it inside you. So obviously I'm going to go for Serge Ambomo, but big respect to all journeymen.
Serge Ambomo is one tough man. Good God. He is. I've seen him fight last year at Metrodome, and he come and he gave it a good go. So, in fact, I think you were there that night, Latif.
Yeah. We've worked with a few, but obviously he sticks out. Craig Derbyshire, who's actually now European champion. I work with Craig a lot of times. Jason Ball, I mean, he fought Eubanks and stuff like that. But on the circuit, you get asked to do the corners as well. So you can say, oh, Latif, can you do that corner as well? And you start getting a bond with all the journeymen. So you start getting, not a name for yourself, but people you can work with. And like anything else, you know, the fighters, and they need someone in the corner they can trust, who's obviously going to give 100%, and we've got a duty of care. So first and foremost, big respect to journeymen. Worked with quite a few over the years. And it's that toughness which I think either they've got it or they haven't.
I agree with that, mate. They're a different breed, aren't they? You've got to have something about you, haven't you, to do it. And tough skin, thick skin.
Have you always been into boxing then?
Yeah, my story's a bit weird because I've never boxed pro. Did a little bit amateur, nothing to shout, but my background's martial arts. I used to go up and down the country freestyle fighting, and I got in a few competitions. And I can remember at Darlington Leisure Centre, I fought this lad just to a freestyle competition. Right? My background's Taekwondo, and he absolutely blitzed me with his hand speed. And I thought, wow. Afterwards, we had a chat like you do. I could talk for England. I just wanted to know how come you're so fast with your hands. And he actually was an amateur boxer, but he liked to do a bit of kickboxing. So I just got a bit of a bug there. I started training a bit of boxing. I trained underneath a place. It's an old pub now. It's been knocked down in Doncaster called Tadcaster Arms. And the trainer was a pro trainer there. We had quite a few Doncaster pros working there. I just got the bug from there. Dad sat me down and said, listen, you're not going to be good enough to be a world champion. And obviously I'm a market lad. I'm a barra boy. So we was earning decent money there. So it was just a question of like, just keep training. Then slowly I did a few little shows and then went on and got my second license, got my trainer's license, and then obviously I got my manager's license now. So basically that's my simple story. I'm not a world champion. I'm not a world champion beater. But I got the bug for boxing. I've always been around boxers, not in a sexual way, but in a professional way. I just got the bug and just started training. I was really lucky because I teamed up with Niall Armand, who had the ABA at Thorn. And obviously we had the likes of Craig Derbyshire there. We had Ashton Jolly there. We had Jason Ball there. We had Matthew Wrigglesworth there. So there was quite a little stable there. So I basically learnt on the road.
Right.
That's the way to be, mate, really. I mean, I know your face I mean, I never met you, Latif, but you know what I mean? I know I've seen you in them corners many a times.
But it's a good job you said that. I thought you were going to say I've seen you on Crime Watch. I thought, Jesus, that's all I need.
No. Even I haven't been on that.
I've been told I look a cross between a terrorist and a taxi driver. So, I mean, you've actually given me a bit of credibility there, Mark.
Always will do, mate. That's what I'm here for. Bigging you up. So what is your job then?
I've got a couple of businesses, actually, I've been looking at. I mean, after I've seen Barnsley's like a second home to me because I did the markets here for about 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I had a couple of little units here, I did the stalls outside. So I'm used to all the lads around here, the Kendriers, the Lunwooders, Athersley, Atherley, West Albury. So obviously I've got quite a lot of friends in there. But then obviously I've been into retail. I've got a couple of furniture outlets, and I've got a care business as well.
Oh, great.
Which we specialise in people with autism, challenging behaviour, Down syndrome, self-harm. So, I've been working hard. So everything's okay. We're not the richest, we're not millionaires, but we do work, and that's the main thing. And I've just finished work now and come across here. So
I don't know how you. I mean, sounds like you never stop.
We're Asians, we never stop. We've got that work ethic, and by the grace of God, I've been lucky because my parents were grafters as well. So it's just a thing. Really, boxing for me has always been like a hobby, something which I've always been involved with. Love doing it. I've got a passion for it. And the other thing as well is, to be fair, once you're in there, you seem to find an extended family. So you can go to any show you want. You'll meet people there. You meet your fighters. You just meet the inspectors. So it's good. It's good.
Well, I'll tell you what, mate. That care business sounds really tough. I mean, but we need things like that, mate, in life. And you should be very proud of yourself, what you do, mate. You really should.
Yeah, it's understanding people, isn't it? That's what it is. You've got to understand. My son's autistic as well, and unfortunately, they get branded in like a certain category. And until you actually work with these people, well, they're called service users. You're supposed to call them patients now. You find, honestly, they're very, very interesting people. Obviously, they've got the weaknesses, they've got the strong points. But the top and bottom is, they've got an imbalance somewhere, and it's for people like us to work with. So, it's really interesting. I got into it as a business venture, but both my partners they're quite high up in the care side as well. So, between all three of us, we've got like a good little setup going. Oh yeah, it's good, mate. It's nice. It's nice to see the improvement as well with the care, the understanding. So it's good, mate. Yeah.
Fair play to you for that, mate.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah.
Now, I got in touch with Steffi Bull, unfortunately, mate, and he sent you a few questions in.
All right, okay. This is going to be interesting because I call him the ginger gerbil.
Well, there's a bit of a ginger in there, actually, in the first question.
Yeah, I thought there might, so I think we'll swerve that one because I think I know exactly what you're going to be answering, right?
Well, we'll put it in there anyway because that's Chris's job.
Okay.
Well, he wants to know who his favourite ginger friend is. Your favourite ginger friend.
Right, my favourite ginger friend, who I class as family as well as a brother, who I absolutely hate his guts, is Steffi Bull. He's done a lot for me. We've worked together. We've got a good understanding. I class him as family. We've had the ups together, we've had the downs together. So my ginger special person, I was going to say Canelo, but I've never really met Canelo. So I'll say the second one will be Steffi Bull, my ginger brother.
Brilliant.
Perfect.
And his other question is, as part of a team, which has been your most favourite victory in the away corner?
My favourite victory in away corner was Serge Ambomo. Exactly what date it was, and I can tell you exactly what happened. I'm not mentioning which people's show it was or something like that, because that's I don't want to sort of think it's on bad mouth anymore. Went to a show and we was at the weigh-in. Obviously, we met the home fighter. And it was all due respect. We were there to take 6 rounds, just do the rounds, give him a good workout. And he actually came up to us and he said, "I'll take it easy with you, Serge." So I looked at Serge and Serge looked at me and we thought, it's going to be a bit funny. There's going to be a bit funny business going on there. He came in a bit overweight, which was very unprofessional. He looked the part, but obviously I've got a duty care with Serge, and when they're coming up 2 or 3 pounds over, it does make a difference. He would like to say 6 foot. I think it was 6'1" or 6'2", southpaw as well. So I thought we're being a bit stitched up here, in the most respectful way. Obviously, we knew what we were going to do. But obviously, when they're coming in with overweight, it puts a bit of a down, and you think, well, look, I've got a journeyman here. So with Serge, I was going with Serge because I've worked a lot of time with Serge, and we've got some fantastic stories about Serge. It's like, I think £3 over. So I looked at Serge and said, "Do you want to take it?" Well, Serge will just say, he'll never say no. He'll say, "Yes, I'll take it." So we went in first round. Obviously, this guy sold a few tickets, a bit flashy. And he come bamboozling Serge all over the place, and he's like, really putting it on Serge. I came out, Serge sat down with me and he looked at me. I looked at Serge. I said, "You okay?" And he went, "Yeah, good. Yeah, I'm okay." I said, "Look," "just keep away southpaw." So obviously, move to his right. Keep your foot to his outside of his foot. And I said, "We'll just get the rounds in, Serge. You'll be okay." Second round, obviously, he's won the round easily, and he comes flying into Serge again. He's like blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking, is Serge okay? He's as tough as Serge, but he's not there to take punishment. At the end of the days, like I said before, we've got a duty of care with our fighters. Sat down second round, I said, how you feeling, Serge? Turned around, said he goes, Latif, you're taking piss, which obviously means taking the mickey. I said, what do you want to do, Serge? I said, what do you want to do? I said, just give him a smack, mate, knock him out. Goes in third round, right, bum body shot, came straight over with the right, put him straight flat on his arse. Everybody just like that deadly silence. All these fans were like, shite, what's happened here? Excuse my French. His trainer looked over to me. He's like, as if to say, what's happened? And I just put my hands up. I said, it is what it is. It is. So it came up. Obviously, we got the victory, good stoppage. His trainer, stroke manager, couldn't wait to ring Steffi up, and he went, Serge has knocked him out. Serge has knocked him out. What's happened, right? So I said, this is what happened. I said, well, they're not there to take a liberty over it. So for me, that was like a bit of a reward, a bit of like my little trophy. And I thought, you know what? When Serge wants to take it on, Serge takes it on. So yeah, and they've got loads of little stories like this where people take advantage of it. But that one always sticks out to me because obviously, they sold a lot of tickets. He was like the home corner fighter. He flashed up, had the best kit you could ever think about it, and then got smacked out. Got put straight on his arse. So, yeah, that's one of my best ones, mate, to be fair with you.
That's a great story. I love stuff like that, mate. They don't happen enough, unfortunately, but, when they do happen, they are special.
Oh, they are because, it's good for Serge to get a win. Obviously, I've been out with Craig Derbyshire when he was on the road, and we always seem to, I don't want to go on too much about, dropping names, but yeah, he's another special boxer. I'm really proud to be part of his team when he first started. Niall Armand can vouch for this. Same against with Craig, he'd go in, he'd always bang on weight, very, very professional, always a fit kid, very, very tough kid. Obviously with Craig Derbyshire, you're in for a fight. He's fought Sonny Edwards, he's fought Charlie Edwards, he's fought some of the top names, giving him a really good run for the money. Had quite a lot of bad decisions where obviously he's the away fighter, and it always goes against him. So much so it's quite frustrating for Craig because we know he'd won, he'd know he'd win. Everybody knew he'd win, but obviously the hand would go up to the home fighter. And we've fought many a time on Steve Woods' VIP boxing, and every time he'd come on, he'd like, oh no, not Craig Derbyshire. What's going to happen tonight? I said, well, it depends on what's in front of him, right? We're here to do the rounds, but if someone's going to take a liberty with Craig Derbyshire, I said he'll get it back in. And big respect to Craig now. Obviously, he's done it the hard way. He had no amateur experience. He came out from, I don't know if you know, but he came out of the MMA. But he was knocking them out in the cage like as though they were going out of fashion. Niall picked him up and said, look, why didn't you think about taking on boxing? Took the boxing, took him underneath wing. So he learned everything on the road, and look where he is now. You're a European champion, which he well and truly deserves. Deserves a nice big title. For me, one of the toughest journeymen out there. The pocket rocket, we called him. So he's something special, is Craig Derbyshire.
He most certainly is. One I follow quite a lot, along with another one of your fighters as well, Jason Cunningham.
Oh, Jason Cunningham is class act, the Iceman. Same again. If there's ever a story, he reminds me, same with Jamie McDonald and Gavin McDonald, they've done it the hard way, from central area to English to British to Commonwealth, Common to European. Had a crack at the big titles. But one of the nicest guys in boxing. I've got a lot of respect. As you can see, I've got a lot of respect for all the boxers. But the people you work with, you always seem to have that special bond. I class him like his family. Same again, big thank you for Steffi Bully. He put me underneath his wing and we work with these boxers. But we've always had a fantastic gym. We've had a fantastic amount of fighters coming through Steffi's gym as well as Niall's. But you get that special bond with them and they become family. Like Terry Harper's, obviously, Jimmy Joe Flint, obviously. Jason, I've had a long journey with Jason, and I always wish him the best. And we've got a very, very close mutual respect for each other. Yeah,
Jason and Craig are the two that I like, and they've done it the hard way. And like you said, for me, they've done it the right way as well.
But Craig Derbyshire, Jason Cunningham, he's never been obviously he's fought in the away corner, but he's never been an away fighter. He's always been a champion fighter. He's always had that calibre and pedigree. I think the turning point for Jason is when he won at Telford, and then straight away he was underneath, went underneath the Frank Warren stable, and he went from obviously he just hit another level, and then you could see he's already had it in Jason. It was just a question of just like knuckling down and doing it right. So yeah, but he's never been like an away fighter. He's always been a home fighter because
I didn't know that. You see, I thought he did it hard way.
No, he did it the hard way, as in like the fights he took and stuff like that. But he's fought the top names. But obviously, if they had a big promotional contract like with Eddie, with Frank Warren, then suddenly he's took their golden boy away from him, then he becomes the golden boy. So yeah, done it a tough way. But for me, tactically, one of the best southpaw boxers out there.
Mm-hmm.
but the same with Maxie Hughes as well. He's another one. I think it's all to do with opportunities as well. We're not rambling on too much, but seems to be at the right place at the right time. And then from there, if you've got a good manager, you can progress.
You need that bit of luck sometime in boxing as well. There's nothing wrong with that, mate. I know Mr. Cunningham were on my seconds course, and I was going to ask him to come on the show, but I got a bit starstruck, and I didn't want to ask him.
With Jason, he'd never say no. I mean, he's even in his own time, he'll go to amateur clubs. He's always going to amateur fights. Obviously, he does all the amateur scene they've got now up at Steffi's, as well as the pro side. But I can guarantee you'd never get a no from Jason. And obviously now he's retired. Now he's on to his second chapter in his life. I think it's time for people to appreciate him a little bit more now, because he's giving back now from what we stuck out of boxing.
Is he working with you guys then now in the corner? I've seen him a few times.
Yeah, so he's got his seconds. He's an amateur coach as well as a professional coach. I think he's got his manager's license as well.
Right.
But we all work as a team. Even though I do my own thing, we've got a good solid team at Steffi's. See, there's Jason Cunningham. There's obviously myself. There's Ray Doyle who did a lot, with the professional side. So whenever there's a big event, Steffi calls everybody and says, right, are we all together as a team? So I think we've got that trust between us all. We work well together. Everyone knows what they've got to do in that corner. Everyone's got a role to play. So between us, I think we've got a strong bond, a strong team. Obviously, sometimes Ryan Rhodes jumps in with us. He's got another young lad with him now as well. Sometimes he comes on with us. So we've got a good outfit.
You're going nowhere, mate, are you? You're going from strength to strength, aren't you, in that camp? What the other couple of questions he had in for you?
Not questions as such, but he mentioned a couple of fights. One being when Robbie Barrett beat Scott Cardle in Scotland.
Special to us, that.
Yeah, that's special to me because that was my first title fight doing the corner with Steffi. I don't know if he told you. Actually, I used to sell cars. He came up to my car pitch and he said, do you fancy coming up with us and working Robbie Barrett? Now, I knew Robbie Barrett and his father from Barnsley when I used to graft out of Barnsley. And I said, it'd be an honour. And that experience really gave me the bug. I don't know if you know, but Robbie Barrett broke Scotty Cardell's jaw.
Right.
Yeah, everything was against us. Joe Galley were there. Obviously, they had a massive turnout. We went not only as the underdogs. I think we went down as the underdogs. Right. Took a good team up from Barnsley. Obviously, quite vocal of Barnsley folk. Love them to death. So the coach came up and Robbie Barrett just absolutely boxed his head off. Right. Followed the instructions. Robbie Barrett. I'll tell you something about Robbie Barrett. Robbie Barrett wasn't the best puncher. Right. But his work ethic. Right. And his natural talent and his grit got him through. Did he overachieve? Some people say he overachieved. No, I don't think. I can never say people's overachieved because it's the amount of time and effort you've put in. And I always get this cliche where someone said, well, so-and-so, don't you think he overachieved? And I go, no. I said, taking punches, right, and then putting that time and effort. I said, for me, it's not overachieving. It's achieving what you deserve, which is it's a big difference. But that is another standout fight. Unbelievable. The high was absolutely brilliant. I don't know if Steffi told you, but obviously when we were going there, we took the wrong turning.
Oh, no.
So Bully wouldn't have told you that. So instead of turning left, going towards Scotland, we turned right, started going up towards London. It was only until we got to Peterborough that actually Steffi Bull thought, hang on, we're getting the signs for London here. So we had to turn back round again, missed the press conference, right? And it was like, oh my God. So obviously Steffi wouldn't have told you that. He's always like Mr. Perfect in terms of the good stories. And we always have a lot of banter, but we took the wrong turning. So as we got onto the A1, we went right instead of left and ended up putting it towards Peterborough. It's only at Peterborough we actually noticed that we were going in the wrong direction. So we had to turn back around again and then go all the way up to Scotland. That's another one to write down. And that's
not just a couple of junctions either, is it?
Oh, mate. Bloody hell. Unbelievable. I think Eddie Earls were ringing up, where are you? Where are you? And we had to say we were stuck in traffic. But I think when we got there, so then when we were told him that obviously we took the wrong turning, but we got there, we did the business. Like same again, fantastic experience. They say memories you can never take away from each other, other things like materialistic things like your cars and your houses, you can be a multi-millionaire and you can lose it overnight. But these memories we've got in boxing is something we shall take. And as you can see, I love talking about it.
Well, like I say, it was special for me that night. Well, number one, because you're from Barnsley, but number two, I were at my caravan down in Flambeau with my dad, and my dad passed away since that. But we went in to watch that fight especially. My dad says, he's going to get robbed tonight. And I says, well, let's just watch it, Dad, and see. And as every round went on, he's winning this. He's winning this. He's absolutely hammering him. He's outboxing him. He's doing everything right. He's got to get a decision. I'm saying, I don't know, Dad, I can't. And then as we were going on, everyone else at the pub come and joined us. And they were all saying, oh, do you know him? I said, well, I don't know him, but he's from Barnsley. We follow him. And even my father, my dad, 2 words they won't get 2 words. He said, go on, Robbie, lad, go on. And I says, and they're all like, all lads were in. There were about 20 or 30 around tables watching it together on that night. And they says, everyone was saying, he's got this. I said, well, is it away card? I just can't see him getting it, even though he deserves it. And he got it. And then, pub just went up.
Yeah, I think
great.
That night, I think whole of South Yorkshire were behind Robbie. It's quite funny. I've got a little story about that night. So obviously, they ask if the opposite team want to come in and watch it, get the hands wrapped. So Steffi said, "Do you mind going to watch Scotty Cardell get his hands wrapped?" I was like, yeah, that'd be absolutely brilliant. Obviously, I know the basic look for if there's any skullduggery going. There's always an inspector there.
Yeah.
So Joe Gallagher's wrapping his hands and. Wrapped his hand really careful, did a fantastic job, but then obviously they started with the other hand, wrapped his job, and turned around and said, are you all right with that? And right straight face, I went, no, not happy with that. Complete silence in change room. So the inspector's going, what are you on about, Latif? They're perfect. I went, no, not happy with them. So they need rewrapping again. So Joe Gallagher goes, what are you on about? He goes, I've done a fantastic job. Scott Cardell, his face is like draining now. I thought, I've got to get into this kid's head, So I went, no, I'm not happy with them. When you're joking, no, I'm only joking, right? And you see the blood come back into Scotty Cardell's face, right? And I thought, I've got into your head, little things like that. They're a bit sneaky, right? But they're quite comical. But it was so funny because, the cameras were there and it just went deadly silence, as if to say, because obviously if I'm not happy with them, I've got to re-wrap them again. Obviously the inspector would have said, no, we're quite happy with them and sign them off. But it would just, unnerve them. I've done it a couple of times, to be fair with you, and I get called a few red names. But it's all part of parcel. But that's a little story there. So
I enjoyed talking about it. Actually, a special night for me, that one as well, mate, as well. Did you have any more fights you mentioned? I think you mentioned one more.
Yeah, one more. He said Jason Cunningham beating Gamal Yafai during pandemic.
Yeah, that was just unbelievable. That was Steffi did all that. He stuck to a game plan. You'll find with Jason Cunningham, it's an art watching him. His footwork and his timing is absolutely brilliant. Not the biggest puncher, right? But his timing is perfected. Obviously, that's another big name to get underneath your cap. And I think that was a turning process for us all because obviously, people take notice when you're fighting big names. Jason Cunningham didn't get the recognition as he did because he's not one of them show-offs. He's not one of them who sells himself and wants to be on social media. He's a very, very respectful fighter, respectful person. And sometimes that can go against you. Nowadays, it's all about social media. It's all about the razzmatazz. It's all about you being something special. You doing something different to what other fighters do, and you've got solid fighters there who don't. It's not in their nature to be like that. It's not in their nature to trash talk. But obviously, to get a cap like that underneath it, suddenly I won't say Joe Public because Joe Public can be quite ignorant. Because we haven't got testosterone TV where everyone knows about these fighters. You've got to be like a die-hard boxing fan to actually know these names. So for me, he didn't get the recognition he did do. He did do in the boxing circle, but. The man on the street, he could go into Morrison's and you won't know who he is. Terry Harper can go into Morrison's and she's from Armthorpe, I'm from Armthorpe, and she can do the shopping wherever she does and nobody really knows. And you've got a two-weight champion there. So that's where, for me, I think there's a massive gap in the market where, even with journeymen, with away fighters, home fighters, where they need to be out there where people can actually recognise them. And I don't know if you can remember the times of Nigel Benn, Chris Eubanks, they become household names, Steve Collins, all these guys, they were household names, Frank Bruno, is because they were on TV all the time. I don't know if you can remember Friday Fight Night and how that was, and everybody used to tune in. As a kid, I used to be tuning in all the time and watching them.
That one we were just starting off properly wanted, but they were always on ITV. You used to have Daily Star on everything, didn't you? And it was massive.
Yeah.
And everyone used to tune in and watch them. And like he says, apart from Channel 5 now every so often, there's not really much terrestrial TV, is there?
They're not on regular enough, are they, Mark?
No.
That's what it is, You'll understand, Chris, as well. We're boxing fans, and if you're going to watch a big fight, you've got to pay for it. Yeah. And unfortunately, that's the way the business is nowadays. But I think there is a gap, and I think if somebody who had a good support, a good sponsorship behind them, I think it could come back. I think with Channel 5, I think if they put them on more regular, and even if it's twice a month or 3 times a month or whatever, because they are the fighters out there. There's promotional outfits you'll put fights on. But it's just getting them televised and getting them out to Joe Public. Mm-hmm. And you yourself know, lads, you're both boxing pundits, you know your stuff is. There's a lot of characters out there that just need that break to be on there. Obviously Ben Whittaker at the moment now, he seems to be flying a little bit because he's something a little bit different. In our days, it were Prince Nassim, unbelievable. Chris Eubanks, these were showmen who sold themselves. But they didn't just show themselves, they showed off boxing, which is what we're here, we're talking about.
Big word, isn't it? Characters. We need them.
Yeah, 100%. I think, and there is people out there. There is coming up through the ranks. And sometimes you can get confused with confidence and cockiness. Mm. right? Sometimes it's not cockiness, it's the confidence they've got in themselves and the ability they can fight. So yeah, I think there is characters out there. I think we need more characters, but I think they need to be put out there so everybody can see them. And it's okay, brilliantly social media and stuff like that, which is obviously, I'm always on social media, but a lot of people aren't.
No.
You know, people like want to sit down, have a drink, have some tea, and a Friday night want to watch boxing. They watch the football, so why can't they watch the boxing?
Yeah. A bit like a Luddite like me, mate. It's a bit like me, the old school, mate.
Yeah.
But yeah, very well said that there, Latif, mate. And I agree totally 100% with everything you said there about it being need to get out there more, and hopefully it will do in the future. I think we ought to mention Terry Harper, actually, because what a journey she's had from the top to bottom. And it's a shame, like you said, she don't get the recognition that she deserves.
She doesn't. And, you know, Steffi's it's like family with Steffi. I've been honoured and privileged to be on that journey with her, you know, from fighting for a world title at Rotherham. Same again, I always bring Steffi into it because obviously he's been a bit of a mentor to me. Put his own money up for that fight. And from like bringing her down from something she was finding in her own way, studying, working in the chip shop, and Steffi to actually go in there and said, listen, I think women's boxing is going to be something special. And you know something, I'll say this, and obviously we're in front of a microphone. Terry Harper is a very, very special person. She's a genuine, lovely, lovely person. Sometimes you've got to pull the dragon out of her, got to pull the lioness out of her. And sometimes it's hard work because she's such a nice person. Yeah. She doesn't offend anyone, right? She does the business, very, very talented. She could do any sport she wanted to. She'd rise up to take, whether it's football, whether it be athletic, right? She's just a naturally athletic person. For me to be part of her journey and seeing the ups and seeing the downs as well, let's talk about, it's not all about, championship titles and big money and TV. You know, the highs are highs and the lows are very, very low. And to actually pull yourself out of them low places and still come and fight, for me, shows a character of a person. It shows me a fighter. And whether it's in boxing, whether it's in everyday life, you know, we all know that you can be the flying one day and then suddenly something can happen. You can have tragedy in your life, and then you've got to pull yourself out. For Terry to do that, and where she's gone up and where she's come down and gone back up again, for me, that's something special. I think we're going to see another Terry Harper in the next couple of years. I think she's been learning on the job. She's been in some tough fights. She's trying to do her own legacy. I mean, if she'd won this, she should have been a 3-weight champion. And I think she's going to dig deeper now and find something special and then come back even bigger and stronger.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on that, mate, definitely, because she's
watch this space.
She's special. She is. I love to watch her, and like I say, being obviously quite local to us as well. It's obviously special for seeing someone like that, and if she could become a 3-weight world champion, wow! Two's amazing. Yeah. One's amazing.
You see, you've got to understand, and talking out loud, a loss isn't the end of the world. Everybody likes it like a winning streak. Why don't they? I'd love a winning streak. 12-0, but I've actually learned anything over the last 6 or 7 fights, So it's then you're showing the character of a fighter who actually, right, okay, yeah, I've learned from that. I'm going to come back. The greats, Muhammad Ali, the Joe Frazers, George Foreman, I won't say they're my idols. The people I look up to, my hero's always been my father, but the people I do look up to, and I always think, they had defeats. Your Chris Eubanks, right? Okay, your Nigel Benz, right? So a defeat is not the end of the world, but unfortunately, right, public persona is like she's lost and they write them off, right? And it's very, very cruel. And then you get on social media and say, he or she, we knew that was going to happen. They haven't got it anymore, right? Some of these armchair critics, right? And sometimes I'll even blame myself. As when I into boxing, I'd probably sat there and criticise people, and afterwards I start analysing them. Okay, they do not know absolutely jack about boxing, right? They just sit there, right? Okay, and they just go with the masses. So, a loss is not the end of the world. You can come back stronger, you can come back better. It's what you learn off that loss, right? Okay, and then it's how you deal with that.
Most certainly, mate. Like he says, everybody in the career, 9 times out of 10, they get that L on the record, don't they? And it's like you say, it's about how they come back from that, how they learn from it, and that's the way it is, mate. But if we go on to fighters, mate, who's your favourite fighter then, mate? Who do you look up to most then?
So the look up for most is what most of us guys will say, especially old school. For me, it's always been Muhammad Ali, right? Just a different class. Not just because of boxing. Obviously, I'm a Muslim and he's a Muslim, right? So I've got that bit of a bond, that bit of a connection. But it's what he did outside of boxing and how he was treated. 3 years out of the game, right? When he was at his peak, Ku Klux Klan sending him death messages, and he would like his belief. And to come back from there, to take someone's livelihood at his prime was a big thing. But then what he did out of boxing. So for me, one of the guys I'll always look up to would be Muhammad Ali. Now, there's another little story. I can tell you that many stories. It's unbelievable. When Muhammad Ali came over to do a tour, he was in London, and I can remember, obviously I've got direct partners in my business, and they obviously know I'm a big boxing fan, and they said, like, we'll treat you for the ticket, and why don't you go and see Muhammad Ali? So the tickets were £2,500.
Wow.
Right, £2,500.
Did you get pie and peas for that?
Yeah, I think a chip butty from Eldon Street. You know what I mean? From somewhere from here. It's a true story. So my business partner Jeff said, he goes, look, we'll get the company to pay for it. You're a big boxing fan. You want to see. I've got in my office at home. I've got a massive picture of Muhammad Ali, which is signed. Somebody gave me as a present, and I got a booklet with all the old fighting tickets, for the shows.
Wow!
In this booklet, right? So I don't know if it's worth a few quid, but it's in my office, and it's at centre stage. Everybody comes in, and I sat down and I said, Jeff, I really appreciate the gesture. I said, but if I asked Muhammad Ali and said to him, I've got offered £2,500 ticket to come and see you, I said, I think he'd say, put that to a better cause, spend it on your family, right? And Jeff looked at me and goes, so don't you want it? I went, no. I said, we'll put that money to a better cause. Right, and as it happened, some guys I know they couldn't even shake his hand because obviously he were poorly at that stage. So it left a big sad thingy. So that was my chance. I could have gone and watched him. I thought, I'd rather spend that £2,500 on someone who really needs it, or put it into something which is like a service, or spend it on my own family, my own kids, So that's another thing. Do I regret it? No, I don't. Because I think if I'd asked Muhammad Ali the same question, I've got £2,500 to spend. I can have to buy a ticket and watch you and listen to you, or spend it on my family or my loved ones or somebody who needs it. I think he'd have turned around and said, spend it on your family or spend it on your loved ones. So I always look up to Muhammad Ali. I think it was something special. I've watched that many documentaries on him and what he went through and his story. But then when you look it down and you break it down to most fighters, they've all got a story, haven't they?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's why we're here to give the smaller ones a voice, because they have got. And one thing we'll say about this is obviously not like Muhammad Ali, but we have noticed since we've started doing this in the past 18 months, releasing these episodes, a lot of the weight fighters are doing more podcasts now. Mm-hmm. So, as far as I'm concerned, my job's done. Yeah. These guys are getting a voice now more, and that's all that matters. But that's a great story about Muhammad Ali, and I know for a fact he'd have loved that gesture you've just done there.
Yeah, I think it would. I mean, we did I don't know if I used to do the dinner shows. I've got stories coming out of my head, and it's really funny. So I used to do the dinner shows with Spencer Brown, Gold Star, the guys from Blackpool who obviously manage Tyson Fury.
No, I don't. Oh, no, Gold Star memorabilia, but I don't really know much about him.
Well, the owner, Spencer Brown, he's the owner. So he used to bring all the big names over, and I used to do the shows with him. Right. And I've done Sugar Ray Leonard, I've done Marvin Hagler, I've done Jake LaMarto. The list goes endless. Chris Eubanks, and we brought Mike Tyson over. So, story about Mike Tyson is that obviously we brought him over to Doncaster, and it was funny because he arrived about an hour before, and my job was to look after him on the evening. So, sat down with him, right? Did his story about about his boxing and how he got into boxing, about Customato, his trading, and when he was in the Catskill Mountains, and when he was fought out of Brooklyn and how he was bullied and stuff like that. Fantastic story. Then he talked about his pigeons, and then we had something to eat. So obviously the audience today had their own meal, and I was sat down in this office and was sat down talking, and there was me and my son. Spencer weren't there. He'd sent down one of his colleagues to look after him, sorted out the monies and stuff like that. Obviously, we'd sold the tickets. And then he got up to go, and he said, he goes, thank you, Latif, you've been a good brother to me. I've looked after you. And I said, yeah. He said, it's been a privilege. I said, obviously, I respect what you've done in boxing and how you've got there. And for me, obviously, you've been one of the, I won't say, one of the greatest, but one of the all-time greatest, right, for me. I said, but can I give you a present? And he looks at me and goes, what do you mean, give me a present? I said, I'd like to give you a present, right, from me. He goes, brother, what present? I said, well, it's not a Rolex, it's nothing, it's not a Rolls Royce or something like that. I said, it's a spiritual thing. Yeah. So I took out some we believe in prayer beads, right? Yeah. So I got these prayer beads from a Syrian friend of mine who brought them over from Syria, and he said, brother, I brought you a present. Gave me these. I said, I'm going to give you these prayer beads, and I said, when you're stressed up and stuff like that, so just roll them in your hand. and find a bit of calmness and peace. Obviously he knew about Islam. I said, we're quite spiritual people, and sometimes, when you're on a downer, because obviously, we knew that he'd been in the darkness and he had a few problems, and I just couldn't believe he filled up, started crying, and he gave me such a big hug. I'm filling up myself here, and he said, brother, that's what a fantastic gesture, right? He goes, I'll cherish these. So I thought, yeah, we'll see if he cherishes them. I said, but I've done something what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So about 4 months later, me and my wife were watching TV, and he was doing an interview, and I've got a picture, he's actually got the beads around his neck.
Oh, wow.
So Becky, my wife, said, let's see, she goes, they're the beads you gave him. And I went, wow, right? And it's like he had these beads around him. And Andy Booker, who I did the show with, who was a good friend with Mike Tyson from Doncaster, I've seen him quite a lot, and he goes, he saw him a few times, he goes, tell Latif, appreciate that I've still got them beads. so that's one of my claims to fame. And another story, I've got a, sorry if I go on.
Please do, mate.
I've got to tell you another one. It was when we did the show with Evander Holyfield.
All right.
So he was at Doncaster. Spencer Brown rang me up. He said, look, obviously we're doing this show with Evander Holyfield. If you want to take part and help us. I went, yeah, not a problem. I was sat at home, and he came over the night before, and he was staying at Ouston Lodge, this golfing place, that nice hotel. So I got a phone from Spencer Brown. I said, everything all right? I said, is he settled? And he goes, yeah. He goes, they haven't got Box Nation at Ouston Lodge, Latif. And it's when Canelo fought Mayweather. He goes, can you sort something out? He goes, it's late, and he wants to watch the fight. I said, he goes, well, can he come down to yours? And I went, yeah, he can come to mine. I said, that's not a problem. I said, how many's coming? He goes, I'll ring you back. So he rings back. He goes, about 8 or 9 of them. I went, no, not a chance. He goes, you what? I said, no, it's not coming to my house. I said, I've got my wife upstairs, my children upstairs. I said, I don't know, these from Adam Mucky's Evander Holyfield. I said, but my house is my house. I said, if he comes on his own, or he comes with his manager, great. But I said, I don't want entourage coming down. No. I said, no, not for me. He went, it's Evander Holyfield. I said, well, I don't give a shit if it's Prince Charles. I said, it's my house. If he comes on his own, I said, but I'm a private person. I said, no. He said, can you sort something out? So I said, look, let me see. So I rang a few pals up who've got properties, and I said, look, has anyone got Box Nation? And one of my pals, Jazz, funny kid, he goes, yeah, I've got Box Nation, one of my old properties. There's a TV there as well. It's a two down terraced house, but it's in Asken, right? One of the roughest holes in Donny. You know what? It was toll bar.
Yeah.
Right? So I said, if that's what it is, that's what it is. So I rang Spencer up. I said, I've sorted something out. Where I said, it's not special, right? He goes, listen, he'll do. He wants to watch the programme. So I've quickly gone down to this old, honestly, it was a terraced house, right? There was actually somebody living in one of the rooms upstairs who had a Labrador. You could always open this door and this Labrador come out. And I said, Jazzy sent me. He goes, oh yeah. He goes, I've cleared front room up. He goes, and you can watch it there. He goes, there's a TV there. Right? So we sat there in this crumped up little front room, honestly, comical. Then this black Vito van, I can remember like yesterday, black Vito pulled up, I looked out at the curtains, grubby old curtains. It's like Evander Holyfield on tour. Right, so Evander Holyfield comes out. His manager, he had a big Stetson, his manager, and it must have been his wife. And he had these 2 big, bulky doormen with him bouncing. So they've all walked in, and there were just only 2 settees because they're only small. So I said, come in. Evander said, hello, brother, how are you? I said, look, it's not a palace. He goes, I said, but it's a TV, and we can watch the show. Right? So he sits down. So his promoter manager sat down on the other. His wife sat down. Lovely, lovely people. I think he was an old Jewish boy. Not that that's got much to do with it, but I'm just painting a picture so you can imagine. Sat down, put it on, and this big, bulky, big old bounces in, comes and sits, well, it stood where I was, and he goes, you have to get up. I went, what do you mean you have to get up? He goes, I've got to sit with Evander. I went, no, you don't, mate. I said, yeah, he sits on the fucking floor, or you go and sit in the kitchen. It's very, very simple. I said, no. He went to Evander. Evander went, hey, man, this is the guy. If he says you got to sit on the floor, you got to sit on the floor, right? So they were that pissed on both of them because they couldn't sit anywhere, right? So they went into the kitchen and just sat there. Obviously, we watched this, ordered pizzas, the old pizza place around the corner. And it was surreal. I'm actually sat here, and Evander Holyfield sat at the side of me. And I'm eating a margarita pizza. Do you know, so you couldn't swear. A very Christian man didn't want to hear any swearing and stuff like that. And I swore that, and he didn't. He goes, brother, don't swear. And I said, obviously, just off the cuff. So, and we're watching, and he's going, I know him, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so. Obviously, we took pictures and stuff like that. But I mean, how surreal is that? Sat there, and I'm sat there, and he told me he blew $500 million right, through his divorce, because he'd been married a few times. His house was bigger than the White House.
Yeah.
And he was telling me these stories. And obviously the next day we went to the show. As we walked in, obviously we all saw it. And he goes, "Brother, come here." He goes, "What a good evening. Thank you." He goes, "Yeah, so that's another story." I've got some naughty stories as well, but I think they're funny. But like, it's funny. But over the years, I've been privileged and been honoured to meet these guys. A fantastic time with Joe Fraser. He came over with his manager. We did the show with him. He did his talk. He used to live above his. I don't know if you know. He used to live above the gym.
No.
He lost all his money, went broke. Steffi knows this story, but I don't want to go into it too much. They'll cover what goes on tour stays on tour. But what a funny bloke. And, we sat with him, very respectful. And I like to listen to him about, obviously he always mentioned Muhammad Ali because he's only natural. And I didn't want to say anything to offend him. So I said, if you don't want to talk about it, I said, but obviously someone I've looked up to, obviously we've got like a bit of a connection. And the stories he told me, and, they insulted each other, but they still had that mutual respect. Same with George Foreman. The man he told me more and more to watch was Larry Holmes, because I don't know if you know, but Larry Holmes was Muhammad Ali's sparring partner. And he goes, and we always knew he was going to do well because he had one of the fantastic best jabs in boxing. But listen to these old timers talk the stories about people you look up to. Just it was surreal, mate. Honestly, surreal. And luckily, I've got pictures, my own photos took with them. So I've got, in my office, I've got like photos with them all over. And I sit there and I just reminisce and I just think, you know what? Could talk all day about boxing, but the experiences is something you can never put a price on, can you?
Absolutely not.
No, and then memories will never die, mate.
No, they don't. So we've been privileged, and it's nice for to have an audience like yourself, Chris and Mark, like listening to him. But it's something I'm proud of, something which has been in the journey in my lifetime as well.
So what's the plans going forward then, Latif? We've got your manager's license, don't we, as well?
Yeah, so, I've got, by the grace of God, I've been quite lucky. Steffi, same again I would mention, because he's been a bit of a mentor and he's always told me which ways to go in boxing. He told me to get my manager's license. So, yeah, I'm in partnership with a management company, Bolt Boxing. So we manage like 3 boxers now. I've got a kid, they're from Bolton area, because I'm actually, my status is like, I run professional boxing from the Amir Khan Academy. That's the status. I go there once a week. So they've got quite a lot of boxers coming through. And it sounds like it's me, but that's unfortunately that I'm lucky enough to be part of that. So yeah, so the next stage for me is managing. We've signed 3. We've got a couple of foreign boxers as well. So we're just going to see how we go from there. We're going to give it a go. It's not going to be, we're not going to earn fortunes out of it, but it's another part of my journey which I wanted to do. So I've gone from glorified bucket carrier, which is to house seconds, to trainer, to managers, and now I think this year maybe going from a promoter's license as well, so to work with a few promoters.
Any names we should look out for then?
Yeah, so the guy I've got is a little bit special as well. He's a kid called Rehan Musa. He's national boys champion twice. Sudanese lad, very very powerful lad. But he's actually been trained by, I don't know if you remember, Bob Shannon trains him. So Bob now runs the professional boxing side at the Amir Khan Academy. So he's something which I think is a rough diamond, but the difference is how much he wants it. Sometimes we can want it more than him. Got a look at Ibrahim Kola, which is the same weight as Conor Kelsall. So that he's up and coming. We've got another 2 just on the verge of turning pro, just waiting for the licenses to come through. So yeah, it's going to be an hard slog. Are we going to get a world champion? Yeah, everybody wants a world champion. If I sat here and said no, I'd be lying out my teeth. Yeah. But it's the journey I like as well. If there's something at the end of the journey, right, brilliant, fantastic, something which I can tell my children and my grandchildren, are part of that journey. I've been part of a journey with some absolutely fantastic people. Your Terry Harpers, your Jason Cunningham, your Jimmy Joe Flint, who's obviously just defended against Campbell Hatton. That's another story. Obviously, Robbie Barrett. Then you've got Jason Ball, Craig Derbyshire, Aston Jolly. Obviously, my favourite of all-time journeyman is Serge. So, I've been blessed to be part of a few boxing people's careers. Been working with a lot of managers as well. It's not hard to be nice. It's not hard to be respectful. It's not hard to have a passion, which everybody else has got, which we've all got. You can go to any show, you can meet people. There's some really good lads. Jimmy Harrington from Doncaster, he's another one, been with him, and we've shared the ring together, we've shared corners together. Nicky Manners, he's another funny lad, from Leeds, a really good pal of mine. Got a lot of time and respect for him. Up and down, obviously, we've got our local lads, Glyn Rhodes, another special guy, Ryan Rhodes, Dominic, so all these names, and it's not I'm not dropping names just for the sake of. These are people who I've got a lot of time and respect for. The list can go over, but there's one thing if you notice, we're all family and we all respect each other because there's one thing we've all got, and that's a passion for boxing.
100%, mate. And I look forward to seeing the away corner a few times now, mate. So we'll finish off with a question about myself, mate. Any advice for me starting off with a second then?
Do it because you love doing it. Do it because you want to do it. Do it because you've got a duty of care for the boxers. Give it 100%, but enjoy doing it.
Thank you for that, Latif, mate. And absolute pleasure for having you on, mate. And thank you so much for coming to see it. It's been a pleasure.
No, absolute pleasure, Mark. Chris, been a pleasure both. Honestly, I appreciate the time you've given me. I can ramble on and on and on, and I just don't want to bore you. But, sometimes it's nice to just obviously share the memories, right? But there's one thing I just want to finish off. Yeah. Journeymen are the backbone for British boxing. Without the journeymen, there wouldn't be no boxing. You've got to give them respect. And when obviously you're in the away corner and you're getting boos and stuff like that, okay? You're talking about every single boxer, whether it's a home corner or away corner, they're risking their lives for the name of entertainment. So for everyone who's listening to this, right, give the boxers respect. That's all I ask for.
Thank you very much for your time.
Cheers.
The Journeyman Cave is produced by James Proud. Music by Ryan Carrier. Special thanks to Rhythm Inc. Studios for hosting. All views expressed are of the guests only. The Journeyman Cave and host bear no responsibility for any opinions given. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter @The Journeyman Cave.